Good evening and welcome to Sunset News on this Thursday evening. As always, we bring you news, community stories, economics, weather and sports. I am Aina Kweyom. In the news tonight, 65 kids living in Oshakati Intermediate Hospital have already been sprayed, nurtured, dewormed and vaccinated this year. Have a look.
Goeienaand en welkom by Nagskof. Ek het vanmôre 'n storie geskryf oor die Oshakati Intermediate Hospitaal. Pasiënte het al vir afgelope paar maande lank gekla oor katte wat veral in die kraamsaal hulle self tuis gemaak het en die pasiënte terroriseer. Die UNAM Veterinêre Skool het in samewerking met talle ander mense soos Have a Heart, die Oshona SPCA en veeartse Oshakati toe gegaan om die probleem te ondersoek. En hulle het uitgevind dat alhoewel die katte in die hospitaal, wat ook nodig is om rotte en sulke goed te beheer, die probleem is dit slegs die punt van die ysberg. Die algehele probleem is die bestuur van afval, wat kos, reste en algehele afval wat nie bestuur word of onder beheer is, wat dan weer die muise lok, wat die katte lok. So hulle het 'n oplossing gevind, al die katte is reggemaak, 60 van hulle in geheel. En dis hoekom die bevolking nou in beheer is en die afvalbestuur word nou ook aangespreek.
A former Air Namibia employee and 2 custom officials who worked at South African Revenue Service have been sentenced to 10 years and a further 5 years imprisonment on charges of dealing in drugs, possessions of drugs and defeating the ends of justice by the Alexandra Magistrate Court in Johannesburg. According to a statement issued yesterday by the National Prosecuting Authority, the 3 men are Sydney Bilankulu, who's 56, Kadel Koza, 30, and Tabo Dikale, who is 31. Bilankulu was working as a flight attendant at Air Namibia, while Koza and Dikale were custom officials. Regional spokesperson of Gauteng Local Division, Pindi Jonondwane, said the accused were charged together with Oscar Osingwe, who was sentenced to 8 years imprisonment in 2017. Osingwe entered into a plea and sentence agreement with the state so that he would testify against co-accused Bilankulu, Koza and Dikale. Jonondwane said that Osigwe arrived at OR Tambo International Airport in April 2016 from Sao Paulo, Brazil, in possession of 1,295 grams of cocaine he had swallowed. Osigwe told the court that a Nigerian man in Brazil had given him the drugs and he bought him a ticket to South Africa. Osigwe was given instructions regarding where to drop off the bag with drugs after he had defected all the packs. While on duty, Sergeant Nathan Govender from the South African Police Service stationed at the OR Tambo International Airport received an anonymous tip-off about a man from Sao Paulo with cocaine balls he had swallowed. Govender gathered a team that went to the hotel where Osigwe had checked in, according to the NPA. Upon arrival, the police teams questioned Osigwe, who agreed that he had excreted 71 balls of drugs and 18 were still inside his stomach. Moments later, Osigwe received a call from his co-accused, instructing him to move to the drug drop-off point. The police team followed him, and when he handed over the bag loaded with cocaine to Bilankulu, who was with Dikale and Koza, they were all arrested together. Jonondwane added that in arguing for a harsh sentence, Deputy Director for Public Prosecution Advocate Jacob Serepo argued that the accused abused their authority as law enforcement officers. Moving over to our next story, in a ruling, Windhoek High Court Judge Christy Liebenberg handed down a prison sentence of up to 30 years to two American citizens, Marcus Thomas and Kevin Townsend, for their involvement in the murder of Andre Hekmeer. The murder, which occurred in January the 7th, 2011, has remained the subject of investigations for several years, culminating in a recent sentencing. The court found that Thomas and Townsend acted with a common purpose and intent when they shot Hekmeer in the head in Coolside Street, a cul-de-sac in Klein Windhoek. Although there was no direct evidence linking them to the murder and robbery, the circumstantial evidence presented in court was deemed overwhelming by Judge Liebenberg. The two defendants face multiple charges, including murder, robbery with aggravating circumstances, contravention of Arms and Ammunition Act, and attempting to defeat the course of justice. Both defendants chose not to testify in their defense after the state closed its case, and their application for a discharge was dismissed by Judge Liebenberg. The judge emphasized that the evidence presented in the court, including witness testimonies and corroborative information, supported the conclusion that the accused had jointly planned and committed the murder with a direct intent. The close temporal and spatial connection between murder and the robbery for Hekmeer's belonging further solidified the decision. In the sentencing, Marcus Thomas received a 30-year prison term, while Kevin Townsend was sentenced to 29 years. Thomas was found guilty of importing firearm components and attempting to obstruct the course of justice, while both defendants were found guilty of possession of firearms and ammunition. In our story of the day, Midco producers are once again sitting with their hands in their hair after the break.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
In our story of the day segment tonight, Midco producers are once again sitting with their hands in their hair after the Midco factory was produced from the next month until January 2024 with about $1.50 Namibian dollars and $2.50 being cut on certain weight classes. Let's have a look.
Sekere gewigsklasse sal sny. Dit is veral produsente wat slagbeeste voer en dis maandeliks, ook buite seisoen, beeste aan Midco verskaf, wat die ergste hierdeur geraak word. Die probleem is, ons almal het reeds begin om ons beeste te voer met 'n onderneming deur Midco, dat ons dieselfde pryse as ook 'n premie betaal sal word as ons tussen November en Januarie slag. Dit was 'n ooreenkoms, het 'n ontstelde Midco produsent gekla. Die beeste en die voer is reeds gekoop, hulle staan en eet elke dag. Die slagbeurte is geboek en skielik pas Midco die prys afwaarts aan. Dit, tesame met die risiko dat jy nie betaal sal word nie, skep groot onsekerheid. Intussen het Republikein Midco die afgelope maandag genader met vrae in terme van die prysaanpassings vir produsente. Ten spyte daarvan dat Midco ontvangs van die vrae erken het, is geen reaksie tot dusver ontvang nie.
Moving on to community news, a pensioner raises concerns during a Katutura residents meeting after the break.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson, Kauraika. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
In our community talk segment tonight, 67-year-old pensioner Elena Johannes explains that with the mere 800 Namibian dollars from Nampos, she simply cannot get grounded to paying a water and electricity bill of close to 200,000 Namibian dollars. She said during the Katutura residents meeting yesterday. Elizabeth Kabes reports.
Wat ek nie kan bykom. Luister my mense, soms van ons is weduwee. Ons betaal die ou skuld van ons manne wat hulle gelos het. Al wat ons vra, die City of Windhoek, om net daarna te kyk, waar kan ons toch begin om vir ons 'n beter om vir ons beter te kommenteer in ons skuld, want ons skuld ook vir NHE. Ek skuld nou nog die huishouding. Ek moet per maand met dit 1.5 betaal. Ek moet 1.500 betaal per maand, wat ek nie raak. Want NHE kom met sy eie papier, en die kom dreig my, ek sê jou huis, sal jou huis verkoop. Ou skakelhuise van single quotas, wat net die toilet binnekant bygekry het, maar dit is dieselfde gebou. Ons het eers die daten, wat jy kan sê, jy kan vorentoe extend of agtertoe extend. Jy kan niks doen nie. Jy kan nie daar extend. Jy slap maar, met die helfte van jou kinders slap in die kamers. En die helfte van die kinders slap in die sitkamer. So jy het eintlik niks. En jy kan niks daaraan doen nie.
Economic news coming up after the break.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
In economic news tonight, Trigon Metals, a Canadian exploration and development company, has announced that the Combat Mine is set to resume underground copper production in the first half of the upcoming year.
Greetings, Trigon shareholders and other stakeholders. Wanted to talk a bit today about our work on the underground. Now that we've commissioned the open pit and we've achieved commercial production at the mill, this is work that the underground is really the next step and the next big catalyst for growth at Trigon. It's meaningful because our grade goes up, our throughput goes up. So we go from 1,000 to 2,000 tons per day. The grade in the underground is in excess of 2.6% copper. So we'll have an average grade of around 2% copper running through the mill. That has a pretty material impact on profitability. We have been dewatering the underground since the end of August. The pumps, we are now down to about 157 meters. Pumping that water out, and actually that water is now going into an open canal that takes it to the Omatako Dam near Windhoek. It's a unique situation where the water that we're pumping is potable water. It's very clean. Water is an important issue when it comes to mining at Combat. Despite Namibia being a desert country, there's quite a bit of water in the underground, in the area of the Combat mine. As a company, as Trigon, we've always seen that as a resource, and those of you who are familiar with the company will know that right from the get-go, we started pumping water from the underground and using it for our community garden, which has been our primary ESG work around the mine. It is a desert country. Water shouldn't be considered a problem. It's really an opportunity, and we're extending that now. We're now providing water to farmers close to the mine. We're pumping water also into a pond that helps agriculture around a community close to us called New Samaro, and in addition to the water that we're putting into the canal for use in Windhoek. So we're getting the most out of that water.
The Namibian dollar trades for 22 Namibian dollars 97 cents to 1 British pound, 20 Namibian dollars 1 cent to 1 euro, 19 Namibian dollars get you 1 US dollar. Three commodities have increased, that is gold with 0.19%, platinum 0.04%, copper 0.57%, while Brent crude oil dropped with 2.48%.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
In international news tonight, South Africa's biggest mining sector employer has said it may need to cut more than 4,000 jobs. Sibanye Stillwater is planning to restructure, which could see 4 loss-making platinum groups metal shaft close. In the statement, the company said high operating costs and declining prices have significantly affected the profitability of PGM industry. Certain operating shafts are now loss-making, Sibanye said, and pose a risk to the sustainability of remaining operationals. The company, which saw a 3-month strike last year over wages, said the affected workers include 3,500 permanent employees and 595 contractors. Sibanye also has gold mining operations in South Africa and PGM assets in Zimbabwe and the United States. It said it had initiated consultations with representatives of affected employees in line with South Africa's labor law. Moving over to our next story. Russia and China vetoed a US-drafted UN Security Council resolution on the war between Israel and Palestinian militants Hamas in the Gaza Strip. The draft aimed at addressing a worsening humanitarian crisis in Gaza, calling for pauses in the violence to allow aid access. The United Arab Emirates also voted no, while 10 members voted in favor and 2 abstained. Have a look.
The purpose today is to rebuild the position of my country in Europe and to strengthen the EU as a whole. The results of the elections in Poland and the amazing turnout, you said it already, also among the youngest voters in Poland, showed clearly to the whole of Europe, I think, that democracy, rule of law, freedom of speech, European unity are still really important to our citizens. I am really proud.
Let's have a look at our sports package for tonight, courtesy of Sports Rep with Ari Hochad.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, and starting off with rugby news first. An announcement made by World Rugby that's related to competitions starting in 2026, and that's trying to get all the best teams playing in the world at the same time against each other, with the different seasons being the theme the past few years. And it will entail that there's 12 teams playing in a Nations Cup from 2026. That will be the Six Nations team playing currently the Six Nations Championship, and also the 4 teams playing in the Rugby Championship in the Southern Hemisphere, joined by 2 teams yet to be announced. And also good news for Namibia, because Namibia will likely be in the next group of teams, so that will be ranked from number 13 to 24 in world rankings, and they will also play in a competition as from 2026. At the moment, Namibia 21st in the world, so they must make sure that they hang on to the top 24 position, and teams challenging Namibia for that position would be Chile in number 22, also Canada 23, Hong Kong currently number 24 in the world, and then Russia number 25. Just above Namibia would be Romania at the moment in 20th position. The current world rankings for men is South Africa number 1, it is New Zealand number 2, and Ireland in 3rd position. The competition will start in 2026, and there will be a promotion relegation only starting from 2030 onwards.
Here are the highlights from tonight's broadcast in case you missed some of our top stories. A former Air Namibia employee and 2 custom officials who worked at the South African Revenue Services have been sentenced to 10 years and a further 5 years imprisonment on charges of dealing in drugs, possessions of drugs, and defeating the ends of justice by the Alexandra Magistrate Court in Johannesburg. In a ruling, Windhoek High Court, Christy Liebenberg handed down a prison sentence of up to 30 years to 2 American citizens, Marcus Thomas and Kevin Townsend, for their involvement in the murder of Andre Heckmeyer. Lydia Hartenberg is the first Namibian to graduate with a FIFA Guardian Safeguarding in Sports diploma. Her graduation took place yesterday at the FIFA headquarters in Zurich, Switzerland. And with that, we've come to the end of tonight's broadcast. Please do make sure you join Sunset News on Facebook, on all NMH platforms on weekdays, as well as on our website, which is called oneup2.com. oneup2.com. Sunset News also screens on DSTV channel 285 as well as GoTV channel 25 every weekday from 7:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. This has been Sunset News. Please don't end your day without us. Good night.